So as a kid, I'm sure that many of you remember standing next to the door and turning your lights on and off and looking at the ceiling, and you'd see all those little planets and stars, and they'd all glow, and you'd be fascinated. You didn't know why they glowed, but that was the beauty of it. It was something abnormal, and it lit up in the dark. I can remember finding almost any way possible to try and make things glow from pretty much that moment on. And once I found out kind of what the different ways we could do it were, I was fascinated, and one of the biggest ones I found was black lights. And black lights have been a successful way to bring color to dark situations, whether it be parties or laboratory or any everyday situations, and all around the world people have used them to make the dark come to life. So we're going to kind of go through the history and the uses and kind of how it works. First off, black lights were invented, actually. What happened is this guy, LeBon is his name, actually. He was working somewhere and he had an oil lamp, and the flame went through a steel-plated box, and it had the fluorescence kind of shown up at him. After that, people started reinventing and trying to make it work differently, and then in 1903, Robert Williams Wood invented the purple tube that the light goes inside, and they first actually called the black light a Woods lamp. It wasn't called a black light until the 1930s, when they started inventing different uses for it. As you can see here, this is an airplane cockpit at night, and what they've done is they've put itty bitty black lights throughout it, and that's how it makes anything illuminate. They do this in your cars and other such things. Black light works because there's the rainbow, as you can see. And what happens is there's a certain amount of light we can't see, which is your visible light. And the light we can't see is the ultraviolet and then the infrared. Infrared heats up things, and ultraviolet is what we use is how black lights work. What happens is all the light in this room would go into the black light, and the black light would shine it back out, but the purple film on the light actually encases all the visible light we can see right now. So the only thing that is allowed to pass through is the ultraviolet. And when the ultraviolet passes through, it would hit my shirt would change it, and then it'd glow. They've also used it to do many things. This probably doesn't make much sense, but what happens is with old antiques, they've used black lights to know if they're real or not, because with old things, the paint they used had no fluorescence in it. So what they've done here is this vase it was faked because they painted it with some newer ink, and when they put it under a black light, it glowed, and it's kind of a fraud protection. They've used it in money. $100 bills are most typical, but they just put a neon strip in it, and if you ever gave a bill to a cashier and they shone a light on it, it's because there's a neon strip, and if it lights up, then they know it wasn't a counterfeit bill. People have tried to rob the federal government by making counterfeit bills, and this is kind of their foolproof way of saying that they're better than them. They've also used it for crimes, actually. You can't really tell, but these are all fingerprints. And say I grabbed a glass and I set it back down. Someone from the police or whatever could take and they would dust fluorescent dust on it, and they shine it under a black light, and that's how they would peel off the fingerprints and find out where they are. Also, there's many different things. These are all rocks. Every single one of these are just regular rocks. And they all have a certain type of fluorescence that it'll go in and it'll come back out. And if you had the plain picture, a lot of them would just be gray and brown and pretty plain until you shine it under a black light. As you can see, black lights have been useful in everyday life from the 1890s until today. They are used everywhere.